For my full name, well, I guess I should tell you my actual birth name, which is Sebastien Lajeunesse, which is French Canadian. In English, it's John Sebastien Lajeunesse, but I just go by Sebastien. Marine Corps infantry, and I got out as a sergeant. It was fun. It was fun, yeah. No, but I absolutely loved it. That was my dream since I was a little kid. I remember being 7 years old and talking to my dad saying, oh, I want to be an Army guy when I grow up, because that's all I knew was just an Army guy. And so my dad stopped and said, if I could be anything, I'd be a Marine. And I go, what's a Marine? And he says, they're the best of the best. They are the best trained, the toughest fighters. They are the first to fight and everything. And just ever since then, just Marines. And yeah, so that was my dream, was just to be a Marine. And I wouldn't change it or do it differently at all. I was born in Montreal.
Okay.
So my dad's French Canadian and my mom's Colombian. My dad just couldn't afford the high taxes up in Canada. It just got way too socialist up there, so he got tired of working his butt off to get legit 50% of his paycheck taken away in taxes. So with the dollar dream, he moved us down here and then started his own company and did the real life American dream with us. I was in my second semester math class, and I guess all those years of not paying attention to my math books during class, I was failing my math class miserably. So just in the middle of math class, I walked out and I went straight to the Marine Corps recruiter's office and just said, sign me up infantry. And I scored high enough to go intel. And so I figured, okay, well, I'll sign up for intel, because I figured that would be a cool MOS, and plus I heard that there's a lot of good career opportunities once you get out of the military if you want intel. And so when I told the recruiter, hey, I would like to try intel, and then the recruiter said, okay, cool, yeah, so we will just need proof of your American citizenship. And I said, wait, what? He's like, yeah, you're an American citizen, right? I'm like, I'm still a Canadian citizen, man. He's like, are you serious? I thought you were from Florida. I'm like, yeah, I've been here since I was 3, but I'm still a Canadian citizen. And he's like, oh, well, you can't go intel then. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, sorry, man. I'm like, yeah, but it's not like I'm something like weird, like Russian or something like that I might spy on. I'm Canadian, man. And he's like, sorry, but I'm like, all right, cool. Well, the infantry it is, and which was my first choice anyways. So
there you go.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that the government didn't trust me enough to go intel for them, but they trusted me enough to give me an M16 and just sent me to the front lines.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Well, there.
right.
Okay.
But that's government for you, though, right? I remember the last couple of days of School of Infantry when we had the sergeant. I think it was the first sergeant walked up to us and gave us our orders of which units that we are going to. And so the first sergeant walked up to me and said, okay, so you are going to 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, Bravo Company, Hawaii. And then I remember standing there like this and then I just broke rank and I said, Hawaii? We have a base in Hawaii? And then I started asking up and down, and then the first sergeant actually started laughing, like, yes, son, we have a base in Hawaii. I'm like, how cool. So I remember my squad leader threw me the metal detector and said, sweep. And then I looked at him and I said, I don't even know how to turn this thing on. And he said, well, you better learn quick. And so just before we started the patrol, I was given a brief 5 minutes just to learn how to turn it on, how to make the adjustments, and then how to figure out the beeping noises and sounds. And then just every patrol, I was in the front of the squad with the metal detector that was just given and just figured it out to learn how to work out. And then I was just praying to God with every step that I knew what I was doing, which I actually ended up learning and actually got very good with that. we had to change our patrol tactics with our formations, because it's funny because throughout boot camp, School of Infantry, and then the whole year workup leading up to deployments, we practice learning like the wedge formation, diamond formation, whatever formation, like where they're spread out and stuff. But we quickly had to throw that out the window due to the IEDs, and then just do one long line. And then with the point man, so guys like me with the metal detector walking in the front, and then with every member in the squad walking behind us, just stepping on the very same footprints that the point man walked on. So that's how we had to adapt to the type of warfare that we were dealing with then. And then during my first deployment was when we took part of the Mars invasion. I don't know if you heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So that was the last Taliban stronghold city left, at least in South Afghanistan. It was a big stronghold, and so my platoon and another sister platoon were made sort of a arrowhead formation with the echelon right and echelon left, and with my squad being the tip of the spear. And then we essentially marched for a good 20-something miles from our outpost towards what was called the 5 Points. So I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Gangs of New York. All right, cool. Yeah, so remember that one guy that said that named the 5 different roads that led up to the center, and so whoever holds the 5 points controls New York. Well, so that was the same thing about Marja. So just about a mile or two east of the actual city of Marja, there was a town where 5 main roads met up. So like for us, it would be like Altamont I-4, where 434, 436, and I-4, and then 414. And so that was our objective, because in order for the other Marine units to take and control Marja, we had to first control the 5 Points. And so our 2 platoons were actually used as live bait to actually draw out Taliban from the town, so that way our sister company can fly in helos overnight and land safely. And on the first long day, where it's cold and windy as hell, and so we stopped just before a berm where there was a little adobe mud hut essentially there, and then just past the berm there was a good 100-200 yards of just open field, and so my squad leader told me to go and sweep that berm real quick for us to get set up and then take a secure position while we halted. And as I was on top of the berm by myself, while the rest of the squad actually hid behind the building in case I get blown up, well then at least and then that's when a group of Taliban started unloading their weapons at me, machine guns, AKs and stuff and everything, and then that's when I had to low crawl and continue sweeping.
Wow.
with the metal detector, and I'm sweeping to continue clearing the berm. And so the reason why we had to do that, and also the guys in my squad were actually ordered by the squad leader to stand down, because actually my best friend Scott Peachy actually started to run up to help me out, but then his team leader ordered him not to. And it sounds messed up at first when you first think about it, but it makes sense, because it could have been a trap where they wanted the whole squad to get onto that berm to blow us up. And so it was best for me to first clear out that berm and then bring the squad up. And then once I cleared up a good section of the berm, my best friend Scott, he broke his orders and ran up and then ran into the cleared spot to go ahead and return fire to give me some covering fire while I continue to sweep. So while bullets are snapping around, you feel like the wind that breeze from the bullets breezing by. So my 2 deployments were to Afghanistan, but I can tell you something really nice that came out of that deployment. That it's funny because me being a history buff, right in front of our outpost, there was an ancient fortress built by Alexander the Great.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So that was really cool. That was awesome. But it was also an eerie reminder that we were in the land, what's called the graveyard of empires, because every great empire that has been there was destroyed. The Greeks, the Mongols, the British, the Soviets. So but that was really, really cool to see, was the fortress built by Alexander the Great. And before and after being in Afghanistan, and I'm forever grateful for going there, for many reasons, because I got to serve my country and I got to serve with my brothers. But I remember the first time when I left for Afghanistan. Well, so we would fly from Hawaii to Alaska, Maine to Ireland in Germany, and then from Germany to an Air Force base in Kyrgyzstan, which is somewhere in Central Asia. And so when we landed in Kyrgyzstan, it was freezing cold, and it was in the middle of the night. And then so then we finally found like a hooch for us to sleep in. And then I remember the next morning when we walked out to go to formation, and then I see a bunch of buddies of mine just staring out the distance. I go, what are y'all staring at? And then just a friend just points, and then I'm, oh my God. And it was the Himalayan mountains just right there. And it, like, if I didn't believe in God before seeing those Himalayas, that would have made me a believer. I mean, which of course I've always been, but had I been an atheist prior to seeing those Himalayas mountains, I would have been a devout believer after that. I mean, it was just beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful. And so that was just amazing to see. It was heartbreaking to be told that you're broken in a way. Especially because that was just, my dream was just to be a Marine my whole life. And then when I got out, I struggled to adapt. I was lost. So what else do I do with my life? And then that's when all the ghosts from Afghanistan started coming back. And then because while you're doing the combat training, you're so focused on that you don't have time to just be alone with your thoughts. And then so then when I got out, it was just I was struggling to adapt and everything. And then at one point, it was every year I would lose 1 or 2 brothers I fought beside with due to suicide from PTSD. And then and so that's when, about 2 years ago, I decided to start St. John's Hops. So let's hire veterans. And then and so the reason why we grow hops, just one day I figured, hey, I'll grow a couple of hops plants. I'll test his organic products on them, see if they work. If they do, well, then my dad can sell his organic products up north where the hops farms are. And I had no idea that the hops plants would also grow well here too, and then and also for a good market price here too, because so many of the Florida microbreweries here want to be able to brew with Florida hops and then brag, hey, like, we have a beer brewed with Florida hops. And so then that's when I figured out, cool, well, so I'll hire veterans. We will grow hops, and also we'll grow strawberries and other stuff on the side too. And then it kind of just took off. The way I see it, I was meant to serve my country. Like, though I was not born here, this is my country. I love it. It gave my family and I freedoms that we couldn't enjoy up in Canada or in Colombia. And so it was this country that became our home and gave us opportunities and everything. And so one big reason why I wanted to join the Marine Corps was because this country was so great to us that I wanted to serve to say thank you to it. And so if I'm going to serve, well, then might as well serve in the best, right?
Yeah.
So now with St. John's Hops, I finally got approved for my 501c3 status for a program I started called Warriors to Farmers, where I could share the same blessings that I was given by my dad and my sister, where all the donations that we get, that's going to go towards the salaries to hire more combat vets struggling with PTSD, for them to come work here under St. John's Hops for good paid part-time work only. And the reason why only part-time is because while they're here in the program, they will be required to go to school, use their GI Bill to study for a future career, which also they get a monthly income from the GI Bill for every month that they're in school, but also they will get free mental health counseling from my sister. And so now I have a veteran in the Warriors to Farmers program right now that just started getting his counseling done with my sister, and so he is today. He's actually happy to do it. That he's like, hey, I feel like it might help me out, and also now he is getting time that he needs to actually pursue a career and being a professional brewer.
So there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. Come here, help. Yeah. Aww. Yes. So that's my German Shepherd. He comes to work every day, and he's sort of the farm mascot. The veterans love him. He loves his veterans. Every time when he sees them pull in, he gets so excited and just plays with them for like a good 10 minutes first, because first I have to play with them for a few minutes, and then it's time to work. So, yeah. And then and also we have the chickens here. It's a good form of therapy where they tend to the chickens and pet them and stuff, but and feed them and everything. And also they get to bring home fresh organic eggs and save money on groceries. And also they get their own row here at the farm where they can grow okra, beans, tomatoes, corn, and then bring that home as well. I think part of my duty now is to also mentor these young American adults, so these young high school kids that have thoughts of joining the military and stuff, and and kind of just sit down and talk to them. We are actually good friends with the local high school RTC that's right down the street. They actually come here often, volunteer and help plant strawberries, help us pull weeds and stuff. And then of course they love Odin, and Odin gets so excited to see his high school friends. But also they love to just sit down and talk and ask us about the military, like what kind of MOS and stuff and everything. And so because that's how our military works. We have the senior soldiers, Marines, that then pass down their knowledge and experience to the young soldiers and Marines. And so I feel like as a veteran, it is important for us to teach the young Americans that are going to be the future leaders about patriotism and just being a good citizen.
Okay. It's
not for everyone. I know that for sure. But if you have the pride and also if you have, I guess, the urge to serve, by all means, have fun, be safe, and be careful. But also, this country was so great that I needed to serve to say thank you. And I feel like in order to truly become an American citizen, because once I joined the Marine Corps and then after my 2 deployments, I was actually able to get my American citizenship. And it's funny because I actually joke about it with my boys from my squad, like the day when I got my citizenship, so they of course joked, oh yeah, so you are finally an American, huh, man? I'm like, yeah, but then I laughed and said, I feel like I was baptized an American under fire in Afghanistan. Like that's when I became an American, was in Afghanistan. And to me, I guess it's one of those go big or go home kind of things. Where it's like, hey, like, yeah. So for me, that's the best way. I went, I fought, I served my country, I took part in history, and I have brothers.